Hey, so you're struggling with your driver. Well, you're certainly not alone, as a lot of really good golfers, even guys you know on TV, have a love-hate relationship with their driver. But there's one particular secret with a driver that almost nobody knows and even fewer people do. And this is why hitting a driver is so darn hard. But when you know this little trick I'm going to show you, well then I think you're going to get a lot better. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I continue on my journey to hit the ball longer and straighter than I ever have before, and I hope to show you how to do the same. So a driver tends to be the toughest club in the bag by far because it has the longest shaft, the least amount of loft. So not only you're at a geometric disadvantage, if you go offline a certain percentage, a certain degree, you're going to run out of fairway compared to a short iron. But what's worse is the spin you can put on it to make the ball curve isn't just proportionate or on a linear relationship. As your clubs get less and less loft, hitting some side spin on it or making the ball curve gets 2 times, 3 times, 4 times worse than what it was with a short iron. So you can break a swing down into 2 components. You can break it down into the path or the track of the handle end and the torques that you apply with your hands, and of course that are innate because of the path of the handle. There's already torques acting on the club head and the club shaft because of this journey. But of course you've got a active, you might call an active response or an active component by snapping the hands or twisting the hands or whatever you do with your hands on this grip. So let's look at the first one. Let's look at the path of the handle here, because this is the part that just about anybody who is struggling with their driver, hitting it crooked, trying to swing too hard and getting no distance, these kind of errors, is because they've got big errors in the handle path. So let's use this noodle because we can kind of curve it to our delight here. And we're going to take a look at, let's say, a handle path on a good swing, something like this. Notice how this is probably not accurate, but you notice I'm going to curve this noodle at about a uniform rate from tip to tip. And now I'm positioning this thing something like this. Now, what are the highlights here? The highlights here are that the handle of the club is heading out to the ball in the first part, this part right here. Now, what's happening in this part of the swing, unless you're doing something very strange, if you get the handle of the club working this way, the head of the club is always trying to respond to it. It's always trying to fall in line with the moment. Whatever direction the handle is moving in at that particular moment, the head is trying to fall in line. So let's say you're at the top of your swing here. Say you're a little older, you can only take it back to about here. You saw the first part of the handle it's not straight out, but it's kind of out and around in a curve. You see when I do that, takes the balance point of the club, it makes the head want to shallow a little bit. So if you kind of relax and let that happen, it's kind of easy when you have the hand path right for this club to shallow as the handle just follows that out and around path. Then let's grab this guy again and we'll set it up something like this. You notice here that we arrive kind of at a pivot point. And here's what I mean by that. The pivot point where the noodle is now starting to head back around to the left. And it's somewhere back right around my right thigh or right hip area. It's further back than, unfortunately, a lot of people think, and this is what gets a lot of good golfers in trouble with their driver, is that they have the same angle back here, but they either fail to continue curving at the same rate. See, I'm curved a lot here, but I'm not curved so much here. So see how I'm kind of gone linear with my handle path. I'm shallow enough in the slot, but I've forgotten to continue to make the handle keep curving around me in an arc, which would continue to make the club head follow it. So you might be looking great in the slot here. However, if this handle continues even for just a few extra inches, and in a high-speed golfer or a good golfer, this makes all the difference in the world. If this handle stops arcing and it just heads to the ball for an extra click or two on your camera, you're going to end up looking like this at last parallel. And now we're going to have to bring in the pushes and the blocks and the flips. And it is a net loss in club head speed overall as well, because you're not continuing to get the whip of the club head around the more economic handle path. So let's go back to our noodle again here, and you see this pivot point. Let's turn it this way. Okay, something like this. Now, see that club handle is no longer pointing rightwards. It is pointing leftwards back here. So if you have a laser beam in here and it's pointing towards the ball initially, but you can't keep it there too long, that handle has got to keep turning the corner back here. And now watch, when I get to here, the club handle is now pointing left of the target. The laser beam is left of the target, and yet, because I was on a good plane and the handle path was good to start with, the club head is still well on the inside. Even though the handle is now moving outside to in, coming into the ball, it's moving outside to in. The head of the club, remember, there's a delay between what the handle does and the direction the handle moves and the direction the head moves in, because it's a reaction, like a boat pulling a skier or a truck pulling a trailer, something like that. So even though the handle of my club is now working around and pointing left, in other words, it's hit its pivot point, the club head is still moving into the ball from the inside. It is not going to turn left until after impact, because that's the time of delay that it's taking to catch up to the vector of the handle. Right about here, it's not catching that until here. So this is the problem a lot of golfers face when they're going offline. They're either not continuing to get this thing to curve, something like this, I would imagine. Something like that, where the pivot point, where the handle goes from pointing to the right to pointing to the left of the intended line of flight, is turning way back here by the right thigh. So either people blow the turn altogether, or they simply turn late. Watch how I'm doing this now. Now see, my rate of curve is the same. The problem is here that I am turning the corner too late, and therefore the response of the club head is going to be late, and you're going to end up pushing that handle out to right field too long. You might even turn the corner and oversteer this way, but once you're late, it becomes really hard to play catch up. Invariably, you always see the shaft coming into the ball tall and ahead, with the face open and the heel leading, and from here you're going to have to do some kind of twist or odd move in order to get back online, and it's simply not very consistent. Now for some of you other golfers out there, your hand path, it doesn't look, now look, here's the same curve, we got the same rate of curve here. Here's on the vertical like this, and so a lot of you out there, some poorer golfers or slicers, short hitters, you don't have this tilted on its side enough like this. It's not a shallow enough hand path. It's too vertical. So for you, if you're here, and see I've got the same angle down here, yes, the hand path is moving left the same as it did before. The problem is that the shaft is much taller and the hand path is much more vertical. Now all of a sudden, just like every other swing, the head is simply going to follow along the handle, and you're going to end up, yeah, the handle was moving out to in about the same amount as the good golfer was here. So just like that. There it is, braking left, causing the head to kick around and square up. Except if you're here and you're up here coming down, what you might say over the top or vertical, your hand path is moving equally left, but now the head is also moving with it because it doesn't look like this. In this case, the handle moves left. The head is still moving from in to out, and you can hit the inside out draw from here, but when your club looks like this and you're moving the handle left, you can see that the head is going to come down and be downwards and leftwards, and that makes for some really awful driving as well. In that case, you don't necessarily need to work on the curve of the handle, but you need to work on the horizontal aspect of it and get it to be from too much like a Ferris wheel. There's too much like a merry-go-round. It's somewhere in the middle like this. And if you can get this handle to come trucking around this turn, the head of the club gets kicked so beautifully into the ball. Not only will it accelerate to a much higher speed than you're used to, but the simpleness, the simplicity of the forces that you can apply to make the ball go straight as well. You no longer have to add the twist. You no longer are stuck in this position. It really, really becomes easy to hit the ball straight consistently and for distance. Now let's see if I can hit one where I follow this hand path. All right, there's a good one. So by following at least as best as I could and conforming to this action here, I'm able to get the club to come around the corner and catch up, get the response on time to where the face will square up. You'll get the slingshot action to speed the club up, and there I was able to actually hit a draw into the left-hand side of the fairway without even twisting the face to get the head to turn over. In fact, it just came from the inside just a little bit and squared up the club face beautifully with the target, giving it a little bit of right to left spin. So remember how important this arc is here. This arc is what gives the club head its arc. And if you can get that part right, then the types of forces and torques you've got to use on the grip of the club in order to make it go long and straight simply becomes so much easier and kind of enhance or amplify what you've done right already. So I'm able to hit it long and straight without a lot of effort, and golf becomes a lot of fun when suddenly you can hit your driver long and straight. So like the movie The Matrix, once you are able to picture this arc in your mind as you start to swing down, you start to picture this arc in first person and feel how it curves, and there's a pivot point back here off of your right thigh, somewhere back here, where that club turns the corner. Because remember, there's a delay between the direction of the handle facing and what the head is doing. So you've got to be early turning the corner, leveraging the club around the handle and getting it to accelerate and square up. So let me know in the comments what you've been struggling with your driver. So let me know in the comments down below how you've been struggling with your driver. Let me see if I can take a crack at it. I'll even invite you to send me a video of your swing for analysis just on me. I just like to help people, especially ones who watch all the way to the end of my videos. Hey, I'm Steve. Thanks so much for watching again and supporting my channel. Please head over to hititlonger.com. Check out the membership there, all the exclusive content, the lessons, bite-sized lessons in order, and all the great products that I highly recommend and use with all of my students on a daily basis to get them going longer and straighter too. And as usual, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.
Oh.